Hello, everybody. Right. This time I have on my interview section, Eric the Smoke Moran. Welcome.
Hey, how are you? Thank you for having me on your show, man. I really appreciate it.
I'm really glad that you are here because I really love your cosplay. So it's like,
Thank you. Thank you.
and I will steal
Really
everything
appreciate
that you have behind without a doubt.
it. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so are you ready?
I'm ready.
So here's the first question: Do
hmm
you consider yourself a nerd or a geek?
Both. I consider myself a nerd and a geek. I have been a nerd and a geek since I was a little kid. Never been ashamed about it. I use that as a badge of honor because I've been like this since I guess what fourth grade or third grade. So I've always been a geek and a nerd. So it's a badge of honor. I never looked at it as a shameful thing. Now the new thing is everybody wants to be a nerd and a geek. And that's the funny thing. Like the cool kids now are the nerds and the geek. Where back then we were ridiculed, made fun of, looked at oddly and stuff like that. So we're the new thing now.
It's all Marvel faults. Okay, and where did this influence or this love for this kind of war comes from?
Well, my oldest brother, he was 10 years older than me. He used to read comic books, and he got me into it when he was going to work, going to the fast food restaurants, working. I would sneak in his room at night just to steal his comic books, to read his comic books. I was heavily into Star Trek, science fiction as a whole. I grew up in the 70s. So back then, the idea of real life superheroes coming to life was a treat for me, like seeing Superman, the classic Superman, or Batman with Adam West. And I would try to get my hands on anything that was superhero related, sci-fi related, horror related, fantasy related. I've been grown into this since I was a kid. So, but my brother played a large influence on it. And to me, superheroes were very noble. They were very heroic. And so for me, I patterned that over the course of my life as a United States Marine, as a pro wrestler, a professional pro wrestler for almost like 15 years, then becoming an actual comic book character, cosplaying, because I was doing this before, I was cosplaying before it was called cosplay, when it was just called, dude, you're a nerd, you're dressing up, oh,
Yeah,
you're a nerd.
yeah.
I was doing it way before then. So when the concept of cosplay came and became a household name, it was a thing now where it's like, oh, we get it. We understand. Oh, this is what he is. So, yeah, but it's been with me all my life. And like I said, my oldest brother played a very large influence on that.
Okay, and have you made any other interview about this for
I've done
another?
I mean, I was host on Heroes of Cosplay on Heroes of Cosplay on Sci-Fi Channel. I've been in a couple different comic books. I'm actually a comic book character for DC Comics. The head at that time, Dan DiDio, had made me an actual comic book character, Freight Train, which you can now see on Black Lightning, even though it's a female version of Freight Train, but she still has my name. Freight Train has, if you go on the DC board, when you're looking up different superheroes, if you type in Freight Train, you'll see my story. It's actually my real name, and infuses about how I became an actual DC character. So that's forever embedded. But even prior to that, I've been in some independent comic books. The first one was Tempest, where I played as a vampire, and but it was me on the cover and everything else. And having a twin sister that worked at Marvel Comics, she was on the cover of a comic book. 10 years later, I was on the cover of a comic book. So it's kind of like one of those things that I was made for this. I was made for this.
Yeah, I can see it. I can see it. And when there's like an event in your city, how it is treated? It is well announced, or it just like nobody cares about it, or how does it treat it?
Actually, they treat it very, very well. I'm actually a cosplay director for the Great Philadelphia Comic Con here in Philadelphia. So for me, I get to have a budget where I have the opportunity to bring in a lot of different cosplayers from around the country, people that I hold in high regard, and I've gotten the opportunity to work with some really great cosplayers. I've hosted cosplay contests, so a lot of the public really reveres like the cosplayers. I've said this on prior interviews, that the reason why a lot of times people come to Comic Cons is not just for the artists, it's not just for the celebrities, but they want to see the cosplayers. Most of the time when you leave a Comic Con, the highlight of that Comic Con is not that set celebrity, it's not that artist, it's the cosplayers. What did they wear? Who wore the best costume? It's an overall thing, whether you're male, female, whether you're gender swap, whether you're handicapped, it really doesn't matter, gay, straight, it really doesn't matter. It's the fact that what you bring to the show, how you become that character. Me personally, I've seen some of the best cosplays all around when I've had these shows, and some really great people behind those costumes.
Okay, and do you remember the first time you went to this type of events?
Let's see. Well,
the first one that you went like. And you won,
okay. Here's the thing. Because I was doing costumes for a long time before Comic Cons really hit. I mean, I was going to Star Trek conventions and stuff like that before Comic Cons became a real thing. But like when it was really mainstream. So when I was going to Star Trek conventions, I was dressed like Worf from the Star Trek Next Generation. But my first experience at a true Comic-Con in cosplay, the funny thing is I was an actual celebrity guest for Wizard World. Wizard World was one of the cons that I was appearing as a pro wrestler. And because I was also a fan of pop culture, which is comic books, science fiction, fantasy, horror, and costuming, it was funny. I was doing a show in New York, Big Apple Con, and I remember I was as a guest. I was coming as a guest. Costumes I wore prior to not going to Comic Con. One of the first ones I wore going to an actual Comic Con was the Rocketeer, and I was, mind you, I was a celebrity guest. So when I was signing autographs, I ran in the back, put on the Rocketeer costume. Celebrities who I was appearing with, I was coming up to them and doing this because they couldn't see me. I had the helmet on, and people were like, there was a lot of celebrities that were like, Smoke, is that you? And I'm like this. And we're doing tons of pictures. If you go to my Facebook page, you'll see pictures of me as the Rocketeer way back when at Big Apple Con. And you'll see me with all these different celebrities, but I'm totally in costume. That was one of the first times where I wore actual costume, and I started appearing in more cosplay costumes from that point on. And it turned from being a celebrity, a pro wrestling celebrity, to switching over to just becoming a cosplayer, and becoming a cosplayer and becoming as a cosplay guest. Because the next thing I know, I started hosting to celebrities for QA panels. I was hosting the costume contest, and the costume contest can result over 1,000 people. You had over 200 contestants, and we're running the show and everything else. I had so much fun hosting. It's just a lot of fun, but that's how it all started. It all started from me just being a guest and going back into my geekhood.
They just
and really
all the way up until it never ends.
Yep.
Like the Rocketeer, it's going up.
Exactly.
And do you assist to these events without cosplay, or you're like, oh, I go cosplaying, or I don't go at all?
A lot of times I wear, when I've done Great Philly Con as a cosplay director, believe it or not, I push myself to the limit, and I'll have up to 6 costumes, like brand new costumes I debut at the same time I'm doing the show. So I'm busy running around, getting everything situated. I'm hosting, and at the same time I'm jumping into a costume. It's been living proof. Like this year, because of the events that has been going on around the world,
Hmm.
we had to put the show, of course, on hold. We were supposed to have our show a couple of weeks ago, but I had 6 brand new costumes. Plus, I'm part of this Masters of the Universe group where I play Skeletor. I'm one of the people that run the group, and we were going to have over 65 different cosplayers, all being different characters from He-Man, She-Ra, Skeletor's characters. And the thing was, I had 6 costumes ready to go, ready to be. And so it's one of those things that, while it's frustrating right now, I'm like, okay, that gives me time to work on some more costumes and everything else. But like my buddy Michael Nightmage, and that's one of my good friends. Mage always back to back comes out with a costume almost every other week. For me, it's like, okay, he's doing this great costume, then I'm coming out with a whole bunch of costumes. But it's because we have a strong love for cosplay. We have a strong love for costumes. So costuming and cosplay is everything to us. So, and we have a love for it, and we love inspiring other people to follow suit.
Okay. And since you have a lot of things, and this is a hard question, do you have like the favorite one, like the precious, like?
Well, okay, that's a good question. I get asked that a lot.
But I mean, in merchandising, that something valuable to you, something like a figurine or maybe, you know, something like a toy that you really, you know, like appreciate the most of
Well, you know what? That's a good question. Here's the thing. You see all these
Yes.
collectibles back here? Every one of these characters I've cosplayed. So every character you see in this glass thing, from War Machine to Black Panther to Bison to Skeletor,
Everything.
Moran, Thanos, I have cosplayed every one of these characters that you see in the display case. So basically, the thing is, for me, everybody asks me this question a lot, and so my best answer I can give is telling people that each costume I work on has a special place. So I gotta say that each costume is a favorite of mine, due to the fact because it might have been a period or time or how much work I put in. For example, even though I had help from a couple different people, Nightmare Armor Studios, I have my buddy Mike Heggie, who's another prop maker, help me like make the shell, the outer shell. I did the rest of the work, from detailing to putting the costume together, connecting the parts, making everything work, and making it into a work of art. So the bottom line is, but that held a special place for me because that was one of my first debut humongous costumes I did. Like, I mean, epic. And this is a Warhammer 40K. So I've done a lot of costumes. The one thing I try to tell people is that it's never be ashamed to ask for help. Never think that you can do it all by yourself, because people think that when you cosplay and you're a costumer or you're a cosplayer that you have to make your own costumes or you have to all do it by yourself. You don't have to do it by yourself. I think one of the best things about cosplaying and making costumes is collaborating with different like-minded people, people that love to do the stuff you do, and you inspire them. For me, when I've had friends come over and we've collaborated and working on stuff, it has been great because you get the bond with these people. Most of the time it's really for good experiences, but you bond with these people and you get, like, for me, I get inspired. Like, I might have had stumbling blocks where I'm like working on stuff and I'm like, I can't move any forward because I'm stuck. I can't figure out how to make this work. But because I got one of my buddies here who's helping me, the creativity starts to flow out. The ideas coming through my head, and I'm like, oh wait, what if we do this? And what if we do that? And what if we do this? And all. And so it's a lot of fun, but at the same time, you're hanging out with friends. It's the best therapy for me. It's like one of the best therapy that I could ever ask for.
And what does your family and friends think about it that you cosplay?
Well, believe it or not, in the beginning, my mom, she was a seamstress. I used to be
like mine.
Was that?
Like mine.
Oh, okay. And so I used to runway model and everything else. So my mom just looked at it at first like, okay, you know, he did the wrestling thing, he did this. So, but when she started seeing what these costumes do, I think when she saw me on national TV on stage and I'm in costume and I'm like, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and I'm on the stage talking to a crowd of thousands of people, she kind of got it. And from that point on, because I'm a child of a seamstress and a fashion designer, I kind of had the knack for putting like cloth and costume pieces. So I would go to her and tap her brain and all this, and she was very much, her and my father. My father was just like, okay, the kid is into it. My mom was just like, okay, this is something that he really loves. He has a passion for. So I always showed her pictures. Up until the day she passed, I was showing her pictures and everything, and she really enjoyed seeing me bringing these characters to life. So as far as my wife, she also cosplays with me. That was a requirement. The person who I was going to meet, it was a requirement. You had to be a geek. I could not marry a non-geek. I met my wife through a science fiction event I went to for Star Trek. I wasn't expecting to meet her. I was cool being by myself. When I met her, and it was just so happens that she was like, I like wearing costumes, but every guy I dated looked at me like I was crazy. I'm like, not me. And we clicked off right off the bat. And she's done some collaborations with me and everything. That's the best thing to have when you have someone in your corner, supports you and understands that this is who you are. This is my way of life. I'm not heavily into sports. I mean, other than being a pro wrestler, I don't go to games. I don't hang out late nights. I don't go partying. I don't go clubbing. Most of the time, I'm either working on scripts, working on cosplays, or playing video games. So my wife has the ideal husband that comes home, goes to work, takes care of business, and bills are paid. So she's happy with that. So, and then we collaborate and we team up and figure out what we're going to team up on. So it's great. I have a lot of fun with her on that.
And do you think that cosplay have taken time from other things, or do you think that you gave cosplay enough of your time?
Cosplay for me, because I've been cosplaying for a long time. Again, I've been around since the 70s. So for me, this is my outlet. I like some people that have a 9-to-5 job. That's all they live for. They live to work, and they live to pay bills. They work all day. They come home, rest their feet, eat, and then go right back out to work. But they have nothing to look forward to coming home other than a house with a roof over their head and bills are paid. I'm able to do all of those things and still have these things to have fun with. Even though I don't do big trips, we do trips now and then, but I don't do big trips and all that stuff because, again, I act, I do film, I do TV. I have so much fun doing what I do that going to work is just something to take care of the bills. That just takes care of the bills. I have stuff to look forward to. I do bigger things than just going to work a 9-to-5, even though I'm grateful to have a job. But eventually I look to retire and focus on my second life, which is cosplay, films, and movies, and having the time of my life.
It's like Superman. This is I have
exactly. You know what? And the funny thing is, I use that analogy a lot. I tell people a lot. I'm like, well, it's like I go to work. I'm Clark Kent, but when I leave. But here's the cool thing about my job. Where I work at, we have events for. We have a Kids Day event. Mm-hmm. So I'm one of the founders here for a nonprofit charitable group called the Philadelphia Avengers. I'm one of the founding members. And at my job, we have a Kids Day. So, of course, everybody at my job looks at me and says, hey, so Smoke, what are you going to dress up as this year? So I'm always doing something big for the kids, whether it's Maui from Moana, whether it's Iron Man, Captain America, Batman. I've done it all, and the kids love it. And my coworkers who are there, the parents, they love it. And they've asked me, do you do parties? I'm like, no, but I know some other cosplayers that might not have a problem doing it. But it's a lot of fun. And I've done charitable events and stuff where I don't look to get paid or no. I do it for the love and, to help, just help inspire kids and stuff. So that's another thing, too. It's like I said, that whole heroic thing of being emulated like a superhero, because I'm living the life of a superhero technically. As a pro wrestler, as a United States Marine, as a comic book character, and as a cosplay. So I'm the embodiment of what a hero could be or a superhero could be. But it's so much more. So much more.
when you work on the cosplay, I mean, when you are working at the building it, uh, and what do you else do? You listen to music? Do you listen to podcasts? Do you watch videos?
I listen to a series of different things. Most of the time, it's music when I'm working on cosplays, and I have my materials. Because I'm down in the basement, I'm working in the workshop, and then I go outside in my backyard. So a lot of times, my music is down here. I listen to everything from classical to Japanese music to old school R&B, rap, rock, acid rock. I listen to everything. So it helps my mind figures out what I want to do, how I want to build a costume, and it's also like gives me that little extra you know, to
Extra
really
energy.
put together a
That
good
extra
costume.
energy. Okay.
Yeah, no.
And can you tell us something about your first competition in cosplay?
Well, here's the thing.
When the
I,
first time that you participate, like.
well, okay. It's this is a two-sided thing here.
Okay.
One, okay, so I don't believe in the idea of competing against other cosplayers because it's never been my thing. I cosplay for the love, not for competition, not
Hmm.
for competing. But as someone who people is, when you're in a costume, when you're on that stage, become that character. If you know that you're going to be, let's say, for example, you know you're going to be Doctor Who, and you're like, oh, I'm going to be the 10th Doctor. All right, well, I expect and you could have the coolest costume around, the coolest Doctor Who costume around. But if you're going on stage and saying, "Hi everybody, I'm Doctor Who. Hi, I'm Doctor Who," versus, "Hello everybody, I'm the Doctor, and I'm here to save the world," and all, that means you're becoming that character. That means you understand the character that you're becoming, and you are that character. So the one thing I tell all the cosplayers is, when you go on that stage, become the character. Doesn't matter how cool your costume is, if you can't bring that costume to life, then you're just a person just putting on some elaborate outfit just to say, "Hi everybody, I'm Spider-Man. Hi everybody, I'm Wolverine." Instead of, "Shh, I'm Wolverine. Come on, bub." Stuff like that. And that's what I mean. Become that character when you get on stage. That's the one thing as a host and as a judge, I tell all these cosplayers, become the character. So if as far as competition goes, that's how I look at it from the competition front.
Is there a cosplay that you have seen in competitions and in events that you like it so much that you think, if I could, I would steal it for me because I like it very much from another person?
Well, believe it or not, there have been a lot of cosplayers that I admire very much. One in particular cosplayer, I'm gonna give him a mad shout out, is my buddy Outlaw of the Paladins of Cosplay. If you ever saw him, look him up. He has done the Voltron cosplay. They've done, let's see, what other cosplays they've done? Pacific Rim. I was so impressed with the Paladins of Cosplay that I end up eventually becoming friends with him and becoming a member of the Paladins of Cosplay. And I own a couple of the costumes because they, from his workshop that he's made, he's helped me make certain costume parts for my elaborate costumes and all. In fact, one of them, actually two of them, I'm going to be debuting later in the year that Outlaw has helped me with. And I also had done another one that we are doing based on influence from the Power Rangers and all. It's a video called VT Heroes. Look it up on YouTube, VT Heroes. We did a quick sample commercial, test commercial and all, and he's did the helmets and everything. So Outlaw the Paladins, a great group. I'm honored to be a part of. So when I see cosplayers like that, and I love their work or I admire their work, I'm going to do what I got to do to help them be seen more, but at the same time, collaborate with them because I may not want what they're cosplaying, but I know if I go to them for help, they would help me perfect an ideal costume that I would love to do that I can bring to life. And I can actually say I worked with them, I collaborated with them, we teamed up together. That means more to me than saying I want to wear his costume. I can say, well, I actually teamed up with him and we collaborated on this costume, and his work is on as a part of my work, and it's great. And that's where the whole collaboration comes into play, when you're having fun working with people you admire and people that you look up to, or people that you've always wanted to work with. If you were here in the States, I would be like, come on over to the house. Let's work together on the project. Let's work together on the cosplay and help your costume come to life. And then this way you can say, hey, everybody, hey, I worked with the Smoke. We did a costume together, and it's awesome. So stuff like that, yes. It's never been the idea of saying, I want to wear that person's costume. But I would love to work with this person and collaborate on the costume that I would like to put together. And so it's been a blessing to be able to do that with a lot of cosplayers I've admired and teamed up with. Shout out to my boy Johnny B. Johnny B. Props. I have to give him a shout out. He's somebody that we definitely want to interview. Had to give him a shout out, my boy. Anyway,
okay. Later I will ask you for Instagram and ask them if they really want to participate here.
Yeah, so. I know he would definitely love to talk to you.
Okay, thanks. And when you go to this event, do you like to wear the cosplay from home, or do you build yourself the cosplay in the event?
Well, when I go to a Comic-Con, most of the time, and to be honest with you, I was on tour with Wizard World for almost 2 years. A lot of times when traveling, especially with big costumes, it's kind of hard to do that. I've had one horrible experience where I traveled with one of my bigger costumes and it got wet because they weren't keeping an eye on the bags. But I had learned some lessons from that, hard shell suitcase bags and stuff like that. But a lot of times when I'm doing shows like, say, Great Philadelphia Comic-Con, and I know I'm doing bigger costumes, like really big costumes, a lot of times I'll take the costumes there and then put it on when I'm at the show. A lot of times I've been fortunate enough to have the luxury to have a changing area, a changing room to change. So as a cosplay director, one of the things I try to do for other fellow cosplayers, because I know the struggle when you're going to a show, is to try to make them have a changing room for them or a changing area where they can take off their stuff, put their stuff on the side, not worry about anything or anyone taking it, and put on their costume and be able to do their thing. The biggest costume I did of recent, last year, was my Thanos costume. My Thanos costume is 9 feet tall. This is when you have a handler helping you. The thing is with this Thanos costume, is one of my really big 9 foot tall costumes. And I'm 6'3", 6'3 and a half. 9 feet tall costume. I had at least 4 different people help me put the costume on. And I mean, when you see it, it's like, it's movie. Oh my God. It's the movie height, the movie style costume. So yeah. And I've only wore it twice. And it's one of my favorite costumes to date that I love to wear more often. But because the legs are so heavy and so when people are bringing in my costume, I got one person carrying 1 foot because the feet are like 5-6 pounds because they're that heavy and they're on stilts. So that kind of stuff, yeah. You definitely want to have a good group of people to help you and to travel, because despite my vehicle, I can't put a whole bunch of stuff in my car. So one of my handlers, who I look at as one of my agents, if you want to call it that, he uses his truck. He'll allow me to load my stuff on his truck and we take it to a show, or we put it in my hotel room until it's time to do the show. But I get up really early in the morning, to crack it dawn before the public and all, and I'll take my stuff over to the show, especially if I'm doing the show. Because I haven't attended a regular Comic-Con in years. I've always either been a guest or I've either worked at the Comic-Con. So I've been very fortunate where, because I've been a guest for these Comic-Cons, that I didn't have to stand in line or anything. I could just risk my costume right into the show and change in the changing area. So I've been fortunate. But I get up very early in the morning so I don't have to deal with the hustle and bustle.
And what do you think about the cosplay world? Do you think it is very well noticed, around the world, or it's just like a trendy now and then it's going to be, or think it's getting bigger? What do you think about it?
Well, despite what's going on in the world today, with everything that's happening, the cosplay community as a whole, um, I think with the cosplay community, it has its bumps in the road. I don't try to sugarcoat it. You still have your issues, for minorities, just overall in general for minorities, as a cosplayer, POC, as they like to call, as minorities, period. They get a bad rap sometimes because people expect them to be, if you're not Caucasian, you can only do these characters. If you're not black, you can only do these characters. So I'm one of the living people. I'm one of those people, one of those cosplayers that show that you don't have to be a certain size, a certain age, a certain gender, a certain anything, disability or whatever, to limit yourself from being whatever character you want. I think one of the biggest things, one of the biggest humps that people got to get over is, first off, the drama. There's always drama, and they try to do that cancel culture stuff within the cosplay community, which I think is a bunch of crap. And people need to get over themselves. Okay, you can cosplay a character, and if someone else is cosplaying the same character, hey, that's great. There's no such thing as competition within the ranks of cosplay. You shouldn't discredit someone because they might have bought a store-bought costume while you made it from scratch. There's nothing wrong. There's no difference in the two. It's what you bring to that costume, regardless. I just think overall that there's some really great pros as far as good things in cosplay, and these are the bad things in cosplay. There's more good than bad, but as long as people get a grip and people don't lose focus, I have mentored other people within the cosplay community, and for better or for worse, I've been fortunate enough to see them really progress. I had some great experiences, and I had some bad experiences. I've had more great experiences than bad experiences. But because I'm not just a cosplayer, I do all these other things. I don't hinge on the idea of this cosplaying. People that are in the cosplay community, some people have cosplay as a living. In other words, they do touring and they get paid and all, and I think that's great. For me, as someone who is an entertainer, an actor, because for someone like me who's an actor, an entertainer, but I'm also a cosplayer, I don't have to use cosplay to make money, like to take care of expenses and all that stuff. For those people that do, God bless them. Whether you're doing a Patreon, whether you're doing lewds, that's your flow. That's your flow. I don't pass judgment. People got to make their money. But my thing is, if you're going to cosplay, remember why you're cosplaying. And cosplay because you have a love for it, not because you're just trying to become famous. There's no such thing, and I've said this on plenty of interviews, there's no such thing as cos famous. There's just cosplaying, and if you get recognized for the work that you do, great. The only person, one of the people that I can say that turned cosplay into a major, I won't say empire, but really changed the face of cosplay, that actually made leaps and bounds within the cosplay realm, is Yaya Han. Like Yaya Han, who I've worked with on Heroes of Cosplay, she's one of the few that harnessed the whole world of cosplay and made it to where she has her own business. I've known other cosplayers, both male and female, that have done the same. Some of them are in the limelight, some of them aren't. Some of them have gotten recognized for the work they do as far as making props, where it opened more doors for them. For me, it's the same thing. Because I've done all these other things and then I cosplay, it's opened other doors for me, where I'm doing TV, I'm doing film. So that's a blessing. But I didn't hinge off of just using cosplay as my stepping stone. I had a lot of other feelers out there to get myself where I needed to be. But for those people that do, just remember, I always try to tell people, you can either make this a thing for the rest of your life, or it could be a flash in the pan, a chapter in your life and then you're moving on doing other stuff. I've seen that also. I've seen other cosplayers that really good cosplayers that retired out of cosplay or they stopped cosplaying, whether they're too old to cosplay or they went through a phase or whatever. I'm in it for the long haul. I've been doing it forever. So I'm one of those people that are true blue cosplay through and through. So like I said again, so that's my overall how I look at the world of cosplay.
Cosplayer to the bone.
Big time, big time.
Okay, and here's related with what you say. Have you stopped doing cosplay? And it's a second part. It's a two-part question. Have you ever stopped doing cosplay for a while, just for a moment, because you said, I need to rest from this, or maybe I'm just too tired? And what keeps you doing cosplay? And if you think that you will die, like wearing a cosplay, or you think that you will, like get old wearing a cosplay?
Yeah.
Or die,
Well, believe it or not, okay, to answer the first part, have I taken a break from cosplay? I won't say I've taken a break because here's the thing. When you're a cosplayer like me that does it all the time, when I go to stores, when I've gone out and done stuff, I'm always thinking about, oh man, I could buy that for something I can use for a costume. Or man, look at this location. That'd be great for a photo shoot. Or man, I could do a film over here with my cosplay. So I'm always got that on my, even when I go to work, as a cosplayer, I'm sitting there like, man, that would be cool if I can do this, do that. It's one of those things that never stop when I'm playing video games. I'm like, man, I should cosplay that character. Or how cool would it be? Could I get away with cosplaying the character? It's in my blood. I can't say, like I said, man, I've gone to supermarkets, I've gone to stores, and I see where other people see regular tools. I see a pipe I can use for piping line for a costume, or like I tell people this all the time. If you're a true cosplayer, you'll understand this. For anyone who's watching this, when you go to Home Depot, it is no longer a tool store. It is a cosplayer's dream shop. It's a big kid store for cosplayers because all you see is things that you can use, from tools to gadgets and you're like, I can use this lighting equipment. Now you got the 3D printing. Again, it's all these little things. So I can never say that I'm taking a break from cosplay, but somewhere within the realm of whatever I'm doing, cosplay is always in the back of my mind. I've had friends that have told me I'm taking a break from it. Because it's in my daily life, I never stop. I never thought about it like that. Like I think this is the second time. No, you're actually the first person that ever asked me that I ever take a break from cosplay. I've had friends that have said, I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna take off some time. I'm gonna get away from the cosplays. Because I'm always around it, it's always, I might not work on a cosplay. I might get lazy. There have been cosplays where I've sat on it. I swear to God, because I'm doing so many cosplays, I've sat on cosplays for 2-3 years, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna finally do the cosplay because now I want to get to, because I've been working on these other cosplays. So it's like I said, this one cosplay, I won't say what it is because I am debuting it this year, but because of everything that happened, I kind of like, oh man, I want to wear this costume, but I gotta wait. This costume I've been putting off for 4 years. During the time when this costume came out, when I saw the trailer, the character that I wanted to do had hair. When I had hair, okay, before I cut this all off. So now I had to like, okay, I'm still doing the character, but now I gotta buy a wig. And I'm like, damn, I've been putting the character off. And trust me, when you see the ensemble of the costume coming together, you're gonna be like, oh my God, it looks awesome on you. But it's just the build up. And I've been putting it off, and I'm like cutting here, dicing here, working on it little by little. It's been one of those things I've been slowly working on. So it is one of those costumes that I am going to get back to. It's a passion project. It's a passion project.
And when you start a cosplay, you started with very, very excited, and you said, oh, I'm going to build this, and it's going to be cool. Or you started with asceticism, and you started like, okay, I'm going to start it, and then since I know it's going to be difficult, I'm going to be happy, or I'm going to get angry, I'm going to get sad, and how does it go?
Well, it's funny. When it's a costume I really wanted to do, I'm focused to a point where sometimes I can't sleep at night because I want to get up the next morning and work on it, or run outside and paint real quick before I go into work. Or when I come home, I'm like, I gotta put this on, because of like, okay, I want to get these together. I want to wear them. I want to do pictures for them, but I want to have somewhere to go. So when people see me becoming these characters, they're going to be like, holy crap. I've done a few, like I've done, I think 4 to 5, 8 costumes that I got a chance to show off of recent, and just so many more. Right now this year, I'm looking to do 30 costumes, 30. And so far I've done maybe 6 or 7. So, and I have the materials and everything. It's not like I don't have the opportunity to make it. It's just a matter of now making it happen. So, yeah. But I never get frustrated. I never say, I'm going to be happy that I'm working on this cosplay. I'm going to be mad. No, I just kind of like, okay, I go with the flow. If the mood moves me to say, you're going to finish this costume by the end of the week, I'm going to finish the costume by the end of the week. If the mood suits me to tell me, well, you know what? You're going to wait for at least a month. Take your time on this one, because you want this to be good. You want this to be where everybody's going to talk about it. And then there's those costumes that I wear once, I don't feel fulfilled from the costume, and either one or two things happen. I either give it away, or I put it off to the side and come up with a way to make improvements on it, to do a different version of it, like an updated version. So, yeah, that's
Second
how I
Life.
approach.
It's the Second Life.
Yeah, exactly.
And do you have a list of the characters that you will do over the time, or they just appear from nowhere?
Don't ever tell the public what I'm doing, because I always love surprising people. But all I can say is, yeah, I got a long list. And what I do is, the beginning of the year, I make up my list of who I'm going to be cosplaying, characters I'm going to be cosplaying. So I do my little check-off list. Like, all right, did this one, did this one, did this one, did this one. So yeah, I do have goals that I try to reach by the end of the year. I'm like, okay, I've done all these characters this year. And people are like, holy crap. I'm like, yeah, I know.
And
the only other person I know that does that is Nightmare. So he does the same thing.
okay, this maybe it's irrelevant, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Do you have like a cosplay that for some reason you haven't made because it's always left behind, or you have done everything that you like?
There's never a costume that I have not. There's always a costume that you want to do. There's always. It's never.
But for some reason, yeah. But for some reason, it just left behind, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna start it later, and just it's left behind.
Well, yeah, the costume I was just talking about, the one that I've been working on for 4 years, for 4 years, and I'm like, okay, I'll get back to that. And I mean, I'm making leaps and bounds with it. It's one of those costumes that I had to contact a lot of different people to get the parts of the costume to make it as authentic as possible. The thing is that it's a lot of love I'm going to put into this one. It won't be my Mount Everest of costumes, but trust me, when it's done, it's going to be like, yeah, it took a while, but yeah. And that's one of those rare costumes that I put on, not hold, but I've taken my time with and all this, whether it's my weight, whether I'm going to get in good shape to wear it. It's always been the thing where I'm like, okay, I want this to be a good costume. I don't want this to be a slouchy costume. Most of the costumes, knock on wood, I have done, and I've really, topped it up. This one is a more detailed, very detailed costume. It's a costume that I had stopped on the costume because there was a part that was missing for a certain part of the costume, and I kind of got and I kind of got in a slump because I was like, I don't know how to approach this, how to tackle this part of the costume. And I'm looking at the costume right now as we speak, and I kind of had to talk myself through it, like how I'm gonna make this work. And so my friend who made the part for me for the costume, now that I got the part, I'm like, okay, I got no excuse now. I got to move forward. So I've been doing at least some bounds. This is the year, despite everything that's going on, this is the year I'm going to try to get it done. I'm going to really try to get it done. So I can prove to myself that, yes, I did it. Yes. I did it. Yes.
And this is another question, do you have like an impossible cosplay that you wouldn't do because it's too big or too small, or you just do impossible? Like, is that, or has something that that doesn't that you don't have, or it's very difficult?
Okay, so basically you're asking me, is there a costume that I feel that it would be impossible to cosplay?
No, I mean that you would like to build, and because there's something like that has, or something, that has that you cannot build it, or you cannot create it because it's like too big or too small or something, or a
Well,
character that you say, no, it's not, I like it, but nah, it's not.
you know what? It's hard to say because there's a lot of characters I want to do. I think it's just the time of, better yet, there have been characters I want to cosplay that for whatever intents and purposes, it may be too big to put in my house.
Mm-hmm.
I've been fortunate because all the characters I wanted to do has come through this house that I have been able to do. But I'm thinking about there are characters that I want to do. It's just a matter of making the time to make the characters, who I have to call in to help me build set characters. But I never felt that I can't do a character. I think that's what it comes down to. If anything, that'd be a challenge for me. If someone said, I'd like to see you do this character, and if it's a character I know and I like, and I really want to do because it's the passion of wanting to do. Like, give an example. One of the prime examples, Gray Fox from Metal Gear Solid. Gray Fox, I have been a hardcore Metal Gear Solid fan. Gray Fox was a dream. It was an idea of who I really wanted to cosplay. It took 2 years to try to get the right helmet. Another year to have someone help me put the servos in to make the costume open and close correctly with the lights and everything else. I've seen a couple different cosplayers who I strongly admire that do Gray Fox. And to make the actual armor that's basically in line to my body structure because I'm a big dude. And last year, knock on wood, I was able to finally perfect it and become Gray Fox. And it was received very well. So it has to be a character I really want to do. Like for example, the Monitor from Crisis on Infinite Earths. Grew up on Crisis on Infinite Earths since the early 80s. I am friends with George Perez, who created the Monitor. When the Monitor came out, I was like, I can't do the character because that means I have to cut my hair. I'm not ready to cut all my hair off. Fast forward to 2018, 2019. My hair is cut off now. Then it was a matter of, how am I going to make this work? How am I going to be able to do the Monitor? Well, gone to the hair store. Looked into ways of creating the effect of the hair and all that. Was able to pull that off, knock on wood, became the Monitor. Sent it to the actor that plays the Monitor, Monica Garrett. Loved it. He loved it. George Perez loved it. Posted it everywhere.
I loved it.
Everyone that's seen it is like, oh my God, this even made the book. I wish I had the book with me. I even made the book. Like, you talk about creativity and coming out of my head. I was so inspired to do it. I basically had my buddy Mike Batten help me design the costume. He made the shoulder pads for me, and we had to come up with the design on how to make the costume work for me. Then I had to do all the detailed painted work and everything else to make sure that everything lined up right. The hair was right. I remember when I first tried on the costume, I had to put the makeup on. I wanted to make sure the makeup was perfected right. My eyebrows were right. Everything was just like to become that character. The Monitor is one of my Mount Everest of costumes that I'm like, yeah, I felt good about. Like, yeah, I did that. Yes. And I have not yet worn it at a Comic-Con because, again, one of my biggest fears as a cosplayer, and I'm a big dude, I overheat. My body heats up. So my biggest fear is that if I overheat, the parts that are holding my headpiece is going to come off. Like the hair is going to come off. So if I So I've been fortunate. I have been very fortunate. One of the other costumes I got to do last year, had the time of my life, was the debut as a full-on Klingon from Star Trek. I'm talking about professionally done as a Klingon. And I was at the Star Trek convention in Las Vegas. One of the few shows that I did go to as a guest. Not as a guest, but as a regular patron. But it was worth every moment. And I got a chance to hang out and be hanging out with the actors that did Klingon, and I mean, did videos with them and the whole nine. And was like, often I had other Star Trek actors, I gotta take a picture with you. Oh, hold on. So I had the time of my life with that. Had the time of my life. Had so much fun with that.
And do you think, and when you do cosplay, do you like to do with people, like, in a group, or do you like to do it by yourself? Like, nah, I'm going this way because I like to be.
I love teaming up with my wife, one.
Mm-hmm.
I do like doing certain cosplay groups. Like I did a Suicide Squad group, consisted of the Philadelphia Avengers. We even did a video. It's on, should be on Amazon Prime. If you type in Squad, it should come up on. And we had a lot of fun doing that. Had a lot of fun doing Suicide Squad and being Deadshot and all that. So yeah, I had a lot of fun. Had a lot of fun doing that. So yeah, I do like collaborating with the right people.
Okay, and this is a difficult question. What do you think is worse, not finishing the cosplay on time, or get it broke in the middle of the event?
Both.
Both.
I never had that problem not getting it done on time, but having here's what happened. I did a Batman versus Superman Armored Batman. And I remember it was a couple days before the debut of Superman versus Batman. I went down New York for Good Morning America here in ABC in New York City. I get to the place. I got there early with my wife and one of my good friends. My armored belt broke in the middle of getting ready. Now, mind you, I was freaking out. But thank God for, tape? Electrical tape. I'm talking about lots of electrical tape. Because the belt broke. So the whole time I had to hold my belt like this. Mind you, the producers saw me in the armor, was like, we want you right there where Ben Affleck is. And I have to send you the picture. The picture's clear as day. Ben Affleck right there. And he looked at my costume, was like, loving my costume, the whole night. And I'm sitting there like this. And I'm right there dead center with Ben Affleck in his interview as in my Armored Batman suit. So that was pretty cool. That was really, really cool. And my Spawn costume, I've had a couple different malfunctions with my Spawn costume. Up until recent, in the last 2 years, I finally got it where I have 2 different variations of my Spawn costume, so I won't have to run into those same mistakes. I have an actual bodysuit, which is a Spawn bodysuit, and then I have the necromorph costume part. So I have the comic book style costume, then I have the necroform movie style costume, and had to make that work. And again, love doing this. Love doing it. So yeah, you always have to be prepared for anything to go wrong.
Yeah, you say it. And since you have a lot of cosplay, that you have a bunch, really bunch. Do you like to repeat cosplay, or do you try to make something new every day?
I won't say making something new every day.
I mean a new character.
Well, I do so many characters. It's like I'm like, who am I going to do next? But then there's characters that there's cosplays that I still keep because people love to see me do the character. Whether it's Maui from Moana, whether it's the Kingpin, whether it's Skeletor, just to name a few. So I've been, when I've been asked that question, I have been asked like, hey, could you cosplay this character? So I don't have a problem doing it. But for me, I always come up with who can I do, whether it's an easy cosplay or a complicated cosplay. I always think about what I can do next as as the character.
Okay. And this is like a dream I have. So I'm gonna explain it to you a little bit. You will know that now we have like a Star Wars Day, and everyone knows about it, and everyone celebrates it. And I thought, why don't we have, since we are a lot of people doing it, and we're a lot of people interested in it, why don't we have like a cosplay day, and let's celebrate it with everyone dressing, and let's make a big parade, in the cities, and let's celebrate cosplay together to the world to say, hey, look, we are here, we're dressed, can take pictures. I don't know, because some people tell me that in their city they make kind of this stuff. And what do you think about it?
Well, for here, because in the States here, we have Comic-Cons going every weekend. Up until the events that are going on right now, we have Comic-Cons going every weekend. The mecca of all Comic-Cons, which is Dragon Con, which takes place in Atlanta, it is like the world of cosplay. You're walking into the city of cosplay for 4 to 5 days is nothing but cosplay. Any kind of cosplay that you could think of will be there. It is the Super Bowl of cosplays. So if anything you would say you want to have a day of cosplay, Labor Day weekend is normally, to me, cosplay day, because Dragon Con is the mecca of cosplay. They celebrate cosplay. I've gone a couple times in the past. Like, you would lose your mind if you got there. You would be like, every kind of cosplayer that you've ever admired, just about are there. And if they're not there, they're heading to there. Or at least as a cosplayer, you should experience at least one time. You should experience Dragon Con. That's the one thing I will tell people. If you're a cosplayer, as a cosplayer, you should experience Dragon Con at least once while you're cosplaying. If you can do that once while you're cosplaying, then you have hit the ultimate high of being a cosplayer.
Okay, this is another 2-second part questions.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give to a person that is trying to get in this world of cosplaying? Someone that wants to start cosplaying and doesn't know where to start or doesn't know how to work. What advice would you give to that person? And
okay, so my advice to someone who's breaking into cosplay, I would tell you, first off, cosplay because you want to cosplay, because you want to have fun. The other thing I would say to a cosplayer or a person that's becoming a cosplayer, don't limit yourself in saying, well, I'm at a certain weight, I can't do this character. I'm at a certain height, I can't do this character. I'm at a certain color range, I can't do this character. I have a certain disability, I can't cosplay this character. Never, I'm a dude and I can't cosplay this girl I want to cosplay. Or I'm a young lady that wants to cosplay this male character and I can't do it. I tell anyone that wants to get into cosplay, never, and I mean never, tell yourself you can't cosplay a character, or you never limit yourself. Cosplay who you want to cosplay. Because at the end of the day, it's about having fun. Nothing more, nothing less. It's about having fun as a cosplayer. Period. That's all.
We're gonna put that in gold. We're gonna put that in gold and leave it there. Which is your favorite character of? Or do you have any?
Wow. All my characters are favorite. Every character I've cosplayed has become my favorite character. I mean, again, it's hard because I've done so many, and I grew up watching these characters. I'm like, I want to cosplay this character. I want to cosplay that character. So every character I've cosplayed is my favorite character. Hence why I own all these characters in the back.
There's love for everyone. And this one is also difficult. Do you have a favorite villain?
Oh, wow. I got so many. I've done so many. My top favorite
Hmm?
would be Black Adam.
Oh,
Okay, I was made to be Black Adam. Black Adam, the bat that laughs.
oh, that's a nice one.
Okay, Baron Karza from the Micronauts. Let's see, two more. Black Manta.
Nice one.
I love Black Manta. And I gotta say, M. Bison.
Oh,
My top 5 villains that I love cosplaying and that I love. So
you're
yeah.
like you have the Psycho Crusher inside.
Okay. An honorable mention: Owlman from the Crime Syndicate. That's another character I love doing.
Yeah, many villains. That's good. Um, and when you start like watching something new or reading something new, what type of characters do you like? Do you like the ones that they're laughing? Do you like villains? You're like more heroic type. What is
I
your
like all.
favorite?
If I like the character for what it is or for who it is, I just do them. I mean, whether it's a hero, villain, like I just saw. To give you an example, I just saw Bloodshot. I've been running through my head: should I cosplay him or not? Should I do the Vin Diesel version or should I do the comic book version? So, like an example like that. Like I love doing characters that I love the character what they did in the movie or TV show or comic book. So it varies. It varies.
Okay. And is there's like a book or a TV show, a movie that would you like to recommend to the people that you will say you cannot leave this world without seeing this or watching
You
reading
ready?
this?
Here we go.
Yeah.
Cowboy Bebop. You cannot go without this world without seeing Cowboy Bebop. Second one would be Miami Vice. Okay, you cannot live without going to see that. Babylon 5. Another show you cannot live without seeing. Deep Space Nine. Another show that you can't go. And then one more, I'm going to say The Three Stooges. The whole entire series. If you want to have a cool sense of humor, Three Stooges. You can never go wrong with Three Stooges. 5 top things you should be watching before you leave this planet. If you decide to leave this planet. Like 5.
Okay, and the last question, and we're done.
Mm-hmm.
From all that you have read and see, what type of power or ability would you like to have in real life?
Wow. Okay. Do I have to pick one, or can I get to pick at least 3 or 4?
You can pick 5 if you want.
Oh yes. All right. Flight. Goes without saying. Invulnerability. Strength. Let's see.
Now you have like Kryptonian blood already.
Let's see. 2 more. The ability to heal others. Okay.
Nice one.
And the last one, kinetics. Being able to move objects and whatnot.
Okay, nice. And it's already we have done the interview. I'm really glad, and I have to say it because listening to you is like it's really like necessary if you want to because you have so much knowledge about this that I'm really glad to have you here, and I didn't expect this much. Because I expect like big things, but this is really bigger, and I really appreciate it. I'm really thankful. I'm really glad, and I really appreciate that words cannot explain. Okay, we're gonna end the video right here. So thanks again for having you. And that's all. If you need anything, I will ask the links for everything that Smoke has said, and so you can visit and help and watch him and follow him. because
Right.
he's no, he's like he's a spider. He has legs everywhere. Thank you for watching, and everything.